Hello, ladies and welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video, we have like part 5? Oh, I hope it's 5. It might be 4. Part 4, part 5 of a new series that we decided to start doing, where we're going to be going over the top 25 best cars of each car brand. We did one on Nissan, BMW, Volvo, and there's one more. Chevy? I think it was Chevy. So yeah, I think this is part 5. And today is the top 25 best Hondas of all time. The next one will be the top 25 best Pontiacs of all time. Somebody already said they wanted to see that. But let me know in the comment section down below right now, right this instant, what car brand you'd like to see me rank the top 25 best cars of. Honda is one of my favorite brands, as you guys know. I have a Honda, I have an Acura Integra, and I absolutely love them. So I'm going to be honest, there are some cars missing on this list that it pains me to not put on the list as well. But just know that I thought of them, okay? I thought of them and I gave them some thinking time, but I just didn't think they quite made the list. So these are, in my opinion, the top 25 best Hondas of all time. And coming in at number 25 is going to be a bit of a hot take here because it's the Honda Accord 10th generation. Now, I know that I am the oddball out here. I know that I am the weirdo, the guy that you're going to come up to me and steal my lunch money most likely when I say this, but I actually like the 10th gen Accords. I think I like them a lot, as a matter of fact. They're pretty quick. Yes, they're heavy, but the Accords have always been heavier than the Civics, so like, it's not that surprising. And you know how everybody's always like, oh my god, this new car that they just made looks like an Accord. Well, that means the Accord did it first, you know? Like, that's just baller. I like the 10th gen Accords, and I'm not afraid to admit that at all. It is only 25, you know, it's definitely not one of the best, but it's up there for me. 24th place is realistically only going to be on this list because of its uniqueness, because it's the Honda CRZ. This car is just weird. I know it's a hybrid, and people are going to be like, how is this guy? This guy's clearly not a car guy if he's putting a CRZ on the freaking list, man. How could a car guy like a hybrid? Dude, do you not like the Porsche 918 Spider as well? Because it's a hybrid? Like, calm down, man. Hybrids can be cool sometimes. It's just not, you know, necessarily common. But the CRZ, in my opinion, is cool. It's unique looking. It's just a special Honda. Is it, like, performance-wise a great car or anything like that? Obviously not. And yes, the hybrid motor does, you know, drag it down a little bit. But its looks, in my opinion, bring it up a little bit. 23rd place is going to another hot take because it's the Honda Civic EG. Now, I know the EG Civic is popular, so the reason why I'm saying it's a hot take isn't because I'm putting it on the list, but because of where I'm putting it on the list. I feel like a lot of people are going to be like, the EG Civic should have been like number 1. I understand where you guys are coming from. You know, I get that. I get it. It makes sense why you love this car so much. It is a tuning legend. Like, when you think of the word tuner, you think of this bad boy. But I do think that nowadays there are a lot better options than an EG Civic if you want to tune a car, specifically from Honda. 22nd, however, is going to go to a new one, the Honda Civic Type R FK8. Do you guys know what FK stands for? Because I just looked it up and I found out what it means. It stands for Fart King. They should call me that. They should call me that. I'm the Fart King. Fart King 8. This is the 8th king of farting. It's realistically the only reason why I put it on this list is it's the first time that we in America got a Type R. Okay, that's obviously a really big deal. On top of that, it's the first time a Type R came turbocharged from factory. Whatever you may like, I know some people are all, oh, there's no replacement for displacement, and then I know a lot of other people like boosted cars. Whatever whatever side you stand on there, you can't lie that Civics are boosted cars. Okay, you don't usually keep Civics all motor, and so it's cool to see a Type R from factory with a turbo. 21st place, and realistically I'll only put this one on the list so to make the Honda purists happy, because it's the Honda S600. I'm going to be honest, I don't really like this car. I'm just not. There are generations, you know, there are generations of people. The generation before my generation probably likes cars like this, but I was born in 2000. This car is just a little bit too classic for me. I don't really get the appeal behind the super classic cars, but that's not to say that this car, it didn't pretty much start it all for Honda. It's one of the Honda's very first attempts at a sports car, and it nailed it, so I will put it on the list. I personally, again, don't understand all the hype behind it, but I do get it. Okay, I kind of understand how that was contradictory, what I just said there, but I don't care. Number 20, baby, is going to the Honda City Turbo 2. What? I know, these people are probably like, this guy is an absolute maniac. He put a Honda City Turbo 2 above an EG Civic and the FK8 Type R, and even the S600. What? That's insane. But dude, if you don't know the history behind the City Turbo 2, don't come crying to me. All right, these things are K cars to the maximum, and it's just awesome. It's a K car, but with like a decent amount of space as well, while also being slightly fun and like a little go-kart to drive. It's an insane combination. Think of like a Subaru Forester, but smaller and with an STI motor in it, and that's kind of what like the City Turbo 2 equivalent is in the K car world. Coming in at the number 19 spot, however, is going to the Honda Accord. Sorry about that. That was my dog at the door. Honda Accord 9th generation. What? Say what? Yeah, I like the 9th gen Accord, man. I do like it slightly better than the 10th gen Accords. They're just more raw. They got that better feeling, better connectivity to the road. It's just an overall better experience when you're talking about Honda Accords. And I know it's still a new Accord, so you guys are probably like, whoa. What is wrong with this guy? Why isn't he talking about the old Accords? But I like this Accord, dude. It's cool. It's fun. And the coupe version of this is absolutely gorgeous. It looks like a German sports car, and I love that. Coming in at 18th place, however, is going to the Honda Odyssey 2nd generation. Now, I was going to include the 1st generation instead of the 2nd gen here, and I know this is absolutely insane, but you are not a Honda guy if you don't give some praise to the Odyssey. The Odyssey is a legendary Honda. I don't care that it's a minivan, it is a legendary Honda. But like I said, I was going to include the 1st gen, but realistically speaking, man, there's no real reason to choose a 1st gen Odyssey over the 2nd gen. The 2nd gen has a manual, it has a K series. It's slightly heavier, but it's got so much more modern stuff in it and so much better. It's so much touch stuff. I like the 2nd gen Odysseys way better than the 1st gens. And like I said, I know some people out there are going to be like, why are you including a minivan in the best Hondas list? To that, I say do some research because the Odyssey is a legendary van. 17th place, however, is going to go to the Honda Civic 1st generation. This is another one of the cars, kind of like the Honda S600, where I don't really understand the appeal behind it because I was literally not even a thought. My parents were basically a thought at the time that these cars came out, so that's saying something. But again, I understand the significance of the car. It's the 1st generation Civic. This car is literally what made Honda a household name. Gotta give credit where credit's due. Also, I do kind of like them. They're cute little cars. And I have the guy who wrapped my Integra, when I took it to wrap it, he had a 1st gen Civic. And I will say something that's going to sound absolutely insane. Sit in a 1st gen Civic and you would be surprised at the room you have. I genuinely think that I had more leg room in the 1st gen Civic than I do in my Integra. And I'm a 6'1" dude. It's very surprising. 16th place, however, is going to go to another car that might need some explaining for the non-Honda guys, but for the Honda guys, are going to be like, oh yeah, absolutely. It's the Honda CR-V 1st generation. Again, it's another crossover SUV. People are going to be like, what? This guy clearly isn't a car guy. Buddy, listen, I'm telling you, things like these, the CR-V 1st gen, were so much cooler than you think they are. They came with the manual, they came with the K series. Were they SUVs? No, not really. They were crossovers. So were they kind of heavy? Yeah, sure, absolutely. They were, heavier than like a Civic for sure. But when you look at the weight of a CR-V 1st gen compared to like modern cars, it's not even that bad. A 350Z weighs 3,800 pounds. CR-V 1st gen weighs less than that. Coming in at 15th place is the Honda K car of our dreams, the Honda Beat. The Honda Beat is, I'm not a K car guy. I want to put that out there really quickly. I like them, and if I ever see one in real life, you bet your sweet bippy that I am going to look at that boy. I'm going to take one of my eyeballs out and set it on the dashboard of that K car so I can always keep an eye on it. Because I do like that. I appreciate them, but I would never personally buy one myself. But the Honda Beat is that one K car that every time I see it, I'm just like, yeah, they did good. The one thing I love most about the Honda Beat is the headlights. The headlights look incredible. But yeah, it's a Honda K car. It's great. 14th place is going to another modern Honda. I know a lot of people out there, a lot of Honda guys in particular, really don't like modern Hondas anymore. They always are kind of like, oh, it's not the same as it was before. And I'm not going to argue the fact that they don't feel as connected to the road as old cars. They obviously don't. Electric steering over power steering is never going to feel as connected to the road. However, they are still really cool cars. So the Honda Civic Type R FL5, or the most recent generation of the Type R Civic, is, in my opinion, an incredible car. I think it improved on the FK8 in every single way possible. Looks, performance, straight line speed, tunability, interior quality, all the beautiness of it, everything about the FL5, in my opinion, is just slightly better than the FK8. I love these cars. And for their price, dude, they are an insane bargain right now in the used car market world. Ugh. For all my men out there who talk to a camera for a living, that's probably not a lot of you, but for those that do you ever just get so thirsty that you just drink a apps, like enough water to feed an entire village in Africa for a week in between takes, because that's what I just did and it felt so good. Either way, 13th place is going to Acura TSX. Talk about an underrated legend, man. These are pretty much, realistically speaking, Accords, but they're American Accords, and they had European Accords. They were the same car as this, but they are K-Series powered, again, basically Accords, with more like modern, like luxurious features, because it is the Acura line instead of Honda. It's just awesome. It's just awesome. And for its price right now, it's an incredible deal. I think more people need to talk about these a lot. 12th place is going to go to the Honda Prelude 5th generation. The Honda Prelude 5th generation I owe my actual career to, because I made a video one time called this is the most underrated Honda ever built, or something like that, and it blew up, and it is what allowed me to do YouTube full time. So obviously this is going to be on my list. The Honda Prelude 5th gen is an incredibly legendary car, not only for my YouTube channel, but obviously in the actual car world. Honda makes a lot of cars that are cool, for sure, but when they make them, a lot of those cars aren't meant to be cool. Civics, Accords, they're not meant to be cool cars. We turn them into cool cars as car guys later on. Prelude, Integra /RSX, NSX, S2000, very few amounts of cars are meant to be cool from factory, and the Prelude was one of those cars, and it worked so well. Now, I will say the 5th gen Prelude is sitting here at the number 12 spot, because there is another Prelude I think is much better than it, but it is still a really good car. And coming in at 11th place, barely missing out on the top 10 best Hondas of all time, is the Honda NSX NC1, or the most recent generation of the NSX. I know this is clearly not as legendary and not as impactful as the first generation. Obviously, I don't have to give you guys a spoiler warning here, because everybody kind of knows this already. But yes, the other NSX is on this list, and it's going to be much higher than this one. But it's still a really good car, dude. These NSXs, these new modern NSXs, are performing against Ferraris and Lamborghinis all the time. And they're a fraction of the price, and they're reliable while doing it. Like, thank you, Honda, for still making something that's cool. I get that people are disappointed in it. It definitely does not live up to the legacy of the first generation NSX, but it's still a really good car by Honda. Coming in at the number 10 spot, however, is going to the Honda Accord CB7. I cannot describe to you, or explain, I guess I should say, to you why I put the CB7 Accord here at the number 10 spot. I really don't have a reason. I just like the CB7 Accord really much. It's a really cool car in my opinion. It scratches all the itches in my brain. It looks good. It's still relatively lightweight. It's not too old to the point where it's like not enjoyable to drive anymore, but it's also not too modern to the point where it doesn't feel raw into the road either. It's just an incredible car. I like it. It's my favorite Accord generation. Coming in at 9th place, however, is going to the wonderful Honda Integra Type R DC5, or as we know it in the States, the Acura RSX, but we don't have the Type R variant. That's why we have to say Honda Integra. We didn't get an Acura RSX Type R. I wish we did, though. That would have been sick. Either way, the DC5 Integra is it's an icon. I was trying to buy one of these before I ended up buying my Integra. For those who didn't know, by the way, I ended up I was looking at RSXs all the time, and I couldn't find one that was like worth the money. And I was just like, you know what, let me go look at this Integra today, and I found mine, and I loved it, and so I bought that instead. But I just love the RSXs. They are incredible cars. When they came out, they were the fastest front-wheel drive car of all time. Yes, even faster than the previous Integra, but nobody really talked about it as much because it didn't have as fun handling as the last generation. 8th place is going to go to the Acura Legend, or they do have the Honda Legend as well, but I'm going to call it the Acura Legend because the Acura variant of it is much more important in my opinion, because it was the first ever Acura. That's obviously pretty impactful, man. Acura is, if you don't know, the same exact brand as Honda, pretty much just an American line, and the first ever time for them to include a Honda in their first ever Acura to be built is what I'm trying to say. It's obviously really impactful, but not only that, the Acura Legend was actually a really cool car as well. It was unique looking, it was very luxurious for a Honda, and it was fast, and that's all you need in a Honda partner. 7th place is going to go to another bit of a hot take. I know I've had a couple hot takes on this list here, but hear me out. The Honda Civic Type R 8th generation. The 8th gen Type Rs, or the FA5 Type Rs, are not very popular, especially like in America. Nobody in America really talks about the 8th gen Civics, and I really don't get why. Right now, they are one of the cheapest Civics you can buy. The Type R variant is, in my opinion, incredibly sexy. Yes, it didn't do anything like super special compared to the other Type R generations, but I just loved them. And for the price that they're at, they are super slept on. In my opinion, they are probably the best Type R deal you can buy right now. Sixth place is going to go to the Honda CRX SI or the Honda Del Sol. Pretty much exactly the same car. They do look very different though. They're 5th gen Civic chassis, but with different bodies and suspension components on the car. That's pretty much what it is, okay? And they are literally just like Honda's answer to the Miata, pretty much. A front wheel drive Miata. If you like the Miatas, you will love these cars. The CRX is very popular and a lot of people know about that, but the Del Sol is one that you can still very easily afford. Not a lot of people talk about them too much. They are literally incredible deals right now. Like I said, they're pretty much a front wheel drive Miata, but with a Honda motor in it. Like, I love the Miata, but the one thing that's holding the Miata back is the original 1.8 liter in the Miata isn't the best for building power. Well, if you take a Miata and you give it a Honda motor, now you got the best of all worlds. Coming in at 5th place, though, breaking its way into the top 5, is going to the Honda Prelude 3rd generation. By far the best Prelude generation, and it's not even close. The 3rd gen Prelude did so many firsts that and nobody even talks about it, that it's insane. First of all, it had pop-up headlights. Let's just get that out of the way because everybody loves pop-up headlights. This car had them. Who doesn't love that? Yes, it had an H-Series motor. We won't talk about that. You can swap a motor out very easily. Doesn't matter. It had 4-wheel steering. 4-wheel steering in a Honda. And then on top of all that, it had active aero. Active aero. Like a 3000 GT or like a Murcielago. This thing was a beast, and you can find one nowadays for relatively cheap. It's insane. Such a good Prelude. Coming in at 4th place, so now we're getting into like the legends, the legendary Hondas, because 4th place is the Honda Civic Type R EK9. This is by far the most legendary Civic Type R, and I don't really think it's even close. It's the EK Civic. Everybody wants one. Everybody wants an EK Civic. The hatchback. It's gorgeous. It's sexy. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I like the coupes better. Oops, I said it. Sue me. The EM1 SIs I think are much cooler cars. Either way, though, obviously the EK9 Type R was an incredibly successful race car, popular car to buy, and it was still just a Civic at the end of the day, so you could still modify it and tune it and make it a whole lot faster. Everybody loves these things. I gotta be honest, I don't necessarily see all the appeal behind it, but I do get most of it. And coming in at 3rd place was Honda's podium car. This is like, if you think of Honda, this is like what Honda should be all about, in my opinion. The Honda Integra Type R DC2. It was a pretty much just a road legal race car. It was the fastest front-wheel drive car by a mile when it came out. It was an absolute monster. People are selling these things for $100,000 nowadays because real car guys understand and appreciate what the DC2 Type R did. It was an insane car. So much things were cut for weight. It had Recaro bucket seats. It had a Momo steering wheel, I'm pretty sure. Actually, don't quote me on that. I might be wrong there, but I do believe it did. It had incredibly big brakes. It had nice racing wheel. Everything that you could possibly think of that like goes on like a real racing car was on this Integra, and it was a factory car. It is, in my opinion, what makes Honda so amazing. Raw feeling, being connected to the road, not too much technology, but not so little technology to the point where you feel like you're in an ancient antique, but also being just an absolute race car, worrying a lot more about the driving experience rather than just making a fast car. And that is exactly what they did with the Integra Type R, and it was insanely well. And it's also what they're doing nowadays. I don't know if you guys saw the recent news, but apparently Honda is building EVs, which does suck, don't get me wrong, but they're going to be trying to find out a way to make it so that the EV can have a manual transmission so you don't lose the driving feel. Like, good job, Honda. At least you're doing something to give it to us car guys. I love Honda. 2nd place, however, barely missing out on the 1st place, but it's the Honda S2000. The Honda S2000, one of the hardest Hondas to ever control because it was rear-wheel drive. Honda does not make many rear-wheel drive cars. As a matter of fact, you can list all the rear-wheel drive cars Honda has ever made on one hand, because that's how many they have not made a lot of rear-wheel drive cars, and the S2K is one of them. The S2K is extremely popular. Everybody wants an S2K. It's one of the most popular Hondas of all time. It had one of the best motors that Honda's ever produced. It had one of the best driving experiences once you can master the car, because it did like to get a little tail happy at some points. It was incredibly gorgeous looking. It was only offered in convertible, which was a risky take for sure, but it looks good in convertible, so they nailed it. It is just an incredible car. Everybody's been wanting an S2000 Mark II ever since the first one came out, and we still haven't gotten one. All right, honorable mention time, and I'm going to be honest, there's 2 of them, baby, because I could not decide between just one. First honorable mention is going to the Honda NSX JGTC. It's a race car, and that's why I didn't want to include it on the original list, because I didn't have any other race cars on the list, but this is a legendary Honda. If you don't know anything about the JGTC, NSX is look them up, dude. If you have never played Gran Turismo 4 before, play that game and then come back to me. These cars are legendary. The Castrol one was incredible. The Pennzoil one was incredible. There was some beasts of NSX race cars back in the day, and they will never be topped. And then the other honorable mention is the Honda Civic EF. It is realistically speaking just a worse version of the EG, but I do love the looks of the EF Civic, so I did want to include it on the somewhere on the list, and so I decided to do an honorable mention. But we already had enough Civics, I didn't want to include another one on the actual list. But this is like where street racing began for the whole Honda community too, over in Japan. Like the EF Civic was the start of a lot of things, and it was really cool. I also believe it was the first generation to have the SI trim, which is like it's a beast of a car. But first place, of course, is gonna go to the Honda NSX NA1. It is the most legendary Honda by a mile. It was the Honda National Sports Car Experimental or something like that. I forget what it actually stands for, but it was literally a big experiment by Honda to try and make a Honda supercar, and it worked. But it was also a fraction of the price of an actual supercar. It was beating Ferraris, it was beating Lamborghinis, it was beating Mercedes and any other McLaren, I guess you could say. I don't know. I can't think of any. Jaguar, I guess. Aston Martin. It was beating those cars for a fraction of the price with Honda reliability, and it was mid-engine, rear-wheel drive, and looked better than the majority of them. I'm saying, I don't care. What do you have around the time that the NSX was built? You have some incredible supercars. Don't get me wrong, but the ones that were competing with the NSX, I don't know, man. You got like the F355. The F355 Ferrari is a really cool car for sure, but I think the NSX is definitely cooler than that. Like the Diablo, I like the Diablo. I think the Diablo is much cooler than the NSX, if I'm being honest, but not by enough to make it worth an extra $200,000. Like, it was such a beast of a car, man. Its motorsport history is obviously unbelievable. It looked unbelievable, and it had pop-up headlights. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the top 25 best Hondas of all time. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content as I do. I have like a don't look at that. That was probably disgusting, but I had something stuck in my mouth. I really apologize for that. I am the most unprofessional YouTuber of all time. You know what a real YouTuber would do right now? They would click the turn off button on their GoPro, re-record that whole thing, and not have the point of me getting a piece of food stuck out of my mouth in the outro of their video. But you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to leave it in there. That's right. I'm going to leave it in there. You're going to watch it anyways. How does that feel? Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I love each and every one of you. Let me know what other brands you want to see me rank in the future. Like I said, Pontiac will be coming next. But after that, let me know. Okay, I'm trying to do all brands out there. I want to try some challenging ones too, you know? I don't want to do all the really easy ones right off the bat, because then I'll be stuck with all the ones that are like Pontiac and Volvo. Brands like that where it's kind of hard to find 25 cars from them that are like really noteworthy to make like a whole video on. I like doing that. It makes it fun. I also get to learn new cars that I've never heard before. Like the Pontiac list, I already made the list. I just have to record it and all that. There's 25 cars on there. I knew maybe 7 of them, maybe on a good day 10. Like the other cars are cars I just learned about and I thought are pretty cool, and I added on the list. So like it's pretty fun. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate it. Das Vidania. I am so hot. It is like 75 degrees today in the about to be November in Connecticut. It is insane. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Das Vidania. Have a nice night.